Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be here with you, through technology. I'm not in the classroom, but I'm here, trying to explain this PowerPoint presentation. Okay, in first place, I would like to go back as a general review of the things that, we were discussing in the first part of this class. Okay, we were talking about grammar, and one of the major things that we studied was words, some implications, meanings, denotations, cultural associations. You were discussing about word formation, through your presentations. And also we were talking about part of the speech, when we talked about the two main categories that we have for part of the speech. We have content words and function words. Okay, I hope this is already clear. We talked about sentential terminology, when we talked about simple sentences or the type of sentences that we have. For example, simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences. And we also talked about the mood, of these sentences. We talked about that we have different type of sentences: declarative, interrogative, and imperative. As if you remember, we didn't discuss that much about this because this is basically a topic from Grammatica Contrastiva, but in case you have some questions or doubts, I would like to remind you that on Wednesday or Thursday, if I'm not wrong, in Campus Virtual, I opened a chat room, for you to ask and answer all the questions that you may have from this PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so knowing this, basically this is what you must know at the end of this class. Okay, this is the way we are going to be analyzing our sentences, so don't panic. Okay, all these symbols and short words or phrases are going to be discussed in our PowerPoint presentations. Okay, so this is what at the end, is what you need to know. Okay, knowing this, what is the first thing that you need to know? You need to know a phrase. If you remember in our first classes, which we're talking about sounds, which is basically a topic from phonetics and phonology. Also, we were talking about words, and when we talked about words, we were discussing about syllables, and then we were talking about phrases, we were talking about sentences, clauses, etc., etc. Now we're going to be focusing on a phrase. What is a phrase? A phrase is a sequence of words or a group of words, arranged in a grammatical construction and functions as a unit in a sentence. But what does that mean? If I ask you, for example, what is a syllable? You were discussing, or we were discussing that syllables are a group of letters, and those letters have to be pronounced in just one go. They must be pronounced in isolation, etc., etc. Now, a phrase, is something totally different but related to the same procedure. A phrase is a group of words. What does that mean? A phrase can be composed by only one word or two or more words. But for example, these combinations must have grammatical construction and they must have functions, which is one of the most important things. Because for example, if I say, a phrase is a group of words, I'm going to use this of and I'm going to use this and. Oh, I have a new phrase here, of and. That doesn't mean anything. So that is why a phrase needs to have grammatical construction and function. So that means that it's going to be the combination of content words and function words. Now, knowing this, for the purpose of morphosyntaxis, you need to know how are we going to be working. For example, if you look at this chart, I'm not using complete words. I'm not using complete names. I'm using just the initial letter or the first letters of different words. So that is why here, okay, we have the NP, which is related to noun phrase, adjective phrase, VP, adverbial phrase, MPP. So these are, okay, the combination of letters that we're going to be using when analyzing different types of, okay, phrases. Okay, knowing this, okay, what is the first, okay, definition that we need to know? What is a noun phrase? A noun phrase, okay, refers to the phrase that built upon a noun which functions as the head word or of the phrase. This means that, as the name refers here, in my noun phrase, the principal word will be my noun. Okay, so for example, if we look at the example here, the young man, the old dog, or a bone, if you see, I underlined three, okay, group of words. In this case, I have one phrase, another phrase, and a third phrase. In my first phrase, okay, the young man, if you look, man is my noun. So that is why I was insisting on knowing very well what, okay, the syntactical category of the words are when we talk about nouns, adjective, verbs, prepositions, etc., etc., because all that knowledge is going to be used here in this second part of our morphosyntax class. So going back to this presentation, this slide, okay, if you see the noun phrase, okay, here we have a determiner, we have young, which is my adjective, and man, which is my noun. So that is why these, okay, three combinations of words, okay, it is going to be, okay, used as a noun phrase. Why? Because my principal word is a noun. The old dog is exactly the same case. We have the, which is my determiner or article, old, which is my adjective, and dog, which is my noun. And then we have a bone. A bone has only two words, okay? Therefore, in this case, bone is my noun. And here we have, okay, a noun phrase. So that is why in this sentence we have only three noun phrases. Let's go over sentence number 2. In sentence number 2, for example, if you see, we have pretty girls. Okay, we have whispered and softly. Whispered is not, okay, a noun. Softly is not a noun. Therefore, these two words, okay, cannot be combined and they cannot be noun phrases. But if you look at the word girl, oops, sorry, girls, which is in plural, okay, girls is a noun, so therefore, okay, this is going to be, okay, a noun phrase. Then we have, okay, our second analysis, adjective phrases. In adjective phrases, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, the principal word, okay, in my phrase is going to be an adjective. For example, if we have, she seemed extremely pleasant, if I eliminate, okay, the verb, the adverb extremely, okay, I may have, she seemed pleasant. So pleasant, okay, is my adjective, and therefore this is my adjective phrase. In number 2, you are much quicker than I. If you see, much, okay, is an adverb, but quicker is a comparative form or the comparison, okay, of quick. Now, maybe your question here is, why are you calling these adjective phrases, okay, if, for example, we have different words in here? And, for example, here, in our previous definitions of noun phrases, why this one cannot be, okay, an adjective phrase? Okay, let me tell you something. Later on, when we analyze this type of sentences, you are going to see that, in general, this is a noun phrase, and then inside of this noun phrase we have these two words, okay, and they are an adjective phrase. So the analysis of these sentences, okay, may be that, okay, from this noun phrase, inside of this noun phrase I have this adjective phrase. So that is why the first one I defined was noun phrases, because you need to know that the first one is noun phrases, then we have adjective phrases. So the same case here, I can have, the man threw the dog a bone. So if you see, I can eliminate young and I can eliminate old, and I still have the same sentence. So therefore, inside of this one, I have an adjective phrase. Inside of this one, I have another adjective phrase. But here, I do not have an adjective phrase. I have only a noun phrase. So therefore, the principal, okay, phrase that I have here is a noun phrase. The principal phrase that I have here is a noun phrase, and inside of these noun phrases I have, okay, an adjective phrase. So explain this. Okay, let's go over number 2. In number 2 I have quick. Quick is an adjective, but it's in a comparative form. Pleasant, pleasant is an adjective. So therefore in here, if I don't have, okay, a noun, so therefore I may not get confused, and immediately if I see pleasant and quicker, and I know that these are adjectives, immediately I know, okay, that these are adjective phrases. So what is the problem here? The problem here is that probably you may not know, okay, the syntactical category of the words, because if you don't know that pleasant and quicker are adjectives, then you are going to get confused in the phrases. Our next phrase, and this is a phrase that I'm not going to explain that much at this moment, because when we talked about verb phrases, verbs implies many things, and so far I'm not going to jump into this in details. But what is a verb phrase? Again, a verb phrase, okay, the principal word is a verb. So for example, if we have here, he has been singing, how many verbs, okay, can you see in this sentence? We have has, been, and singing. But the principal word of this sentence is not has, is not been, is sing. Okay, so this is my principal verb. Has and been are not principal verbs, but they are inside of this phrase, and therefore this is a verb phrase. So what is the difference between this and this one? That in this case I have only verbs, but in this case I have the puppy. And in number 2, if I say the child found the puppy, if you see find, okay, in present tense and found in past tense is my principal verb. But if I ask you, what did the child find? The answer is the puppy. And we already explained in our previous classes that the puppy in this case is my direct object. So what does this mean? That when in one sentence we have a direct object, this direct object is going to be part of this, okay, verb. So therefore I have here one verb phrase, found the puppy, and inside of this the verb phrase I have this, okay, phrase, which is what? A noun phrase, exactly, because it's a noun. So in this sentence I have one noun phrase, I have one verb phrase, and inside of this verb phrase I have this, okay, noun phrase. Also we have, okay, the adverbial phrases or adverb phrases. Again, okay, the principal word is an adverb. Okay, we are expecting him to come next year. Next year is telling me when, okay, we are expecting him. And in number 2 we have he ran very quickly. Very quickly is another adverb. So if you see I have an adverb very, and I have quickly, which is an adverb. And we already explained also in our previous classes how adverbs work. So in this case, an adverb, remember that tell us when, where, why, and how things occurred. For example, next year, very quickly. So these are adverbs, and immediately, okay, we call them adverbial phrases.